only one thing that smells worse than the pig manure is the way this was come in through the back door.
Honestly, I'm not breaking any rules. There's nothing that says I can't be here.
That was from a packed house, a contested packed house, last night in Buffalo, North Dakota, about a huge hog farm coming to town. Good evening and welcome to 630 Point of View. I'm Chris Berg. Thanks so much for joining us. Many people in Buffalo, North Dakota were upset last night at the idea of a 9,000-plus hog farm coming to town that is scheduled to create 170,000 piglets on an annual basis. And one of the biggest reasons people were so upset last night, as you just heard from Jerry Marks there of Buffalo saying, is because many people in Buffalo didn't even really know about this deal until the ink was nearly dry on the deal. In fact, the meeting last night probably would not even have happened if it was not for the mayor of Buffalo, North Dakota, the Honorable Antoinette Babak, and she joins us tonight via the phone. Also in a few moments, you're going to hear from NDSU Extension swine specialist Mr. David Newman, who also attended the meeting last night. We start tonight, though, with the Honorable Antoinette, with who, by the way, is celebrating a birthday today. So, Mayor, number one, happy birthday, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, and it's Antoinette Babcock.
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I said that correctly.
It's my pleasure to be here tonight.
I want to start here. It looked like there was obviously a lot of contention in the meeting last night. What are you hearing from the people of Buffalo? What's the single greatest reason they're against this hog farm coming to town?
There are several reasons. Probably the most ordinary one would be the smell, because that's something that's pretty much universally associated with pigs. And then the second thing, they're concerned about devaluation of their properties. And as it's been previously stated, that there aren't any houses within 2 or 2.5 miles. In fact, we have houses that are much closer to it than that. And they're also concerned about all the runoff of the water, about the wells, and about the general pollution and disease, and just lots and lots of things, and how they're going to dispose of the manure. And last night it was announced that the manure, of course, will be sold to some neighboring farmers, and we were told that the contracts are already signed, sealed, and delivered, and we were not told who has these contracts. And our other biggest concern right now, my biggest concern, is the fact that the State Department of Health was not going to grant us a public hearing unless we get substantial number of letters to them by the 26th of January. And since we just found out, some people just found out this last week, I've known now for about 8 days or so, and I am the mayor. You would have thought maybe, since we have some people in the community that have known for a whole year, that I might have heard about it, but I haven't. And so my concern is that we get these letters written, and they have to be letters that tell them exactly why they're concerned. It can't just be say I don't want this in my town, but they have to give the reasons for it. And so I'm working very hard to see to that they get the substantial number of letters, since they will not tell me how many that is.
Well, that was my next question. You just took the words out of my mouth. I mean, what is exactly substantial? It sounds like you're going to find that out and let us know. The other thing I want to know from you is two things. One, who initially put this deal together? And two, why was it done so quietly?
Well, apparently, according to the people that came from Pipestone, it's not unusual to keep it, in quotation marks, a secret, because that way they don't get people stirred up until the permit is finished. However, the other way of going, my way of going about things like this, is usually I think it's better if you're up front with people right away and let them know what's going to happen, and you will not create so much panic as they have now, because this has just happened literally overnight for some people, and if we don't take care of it right away, it could be a done deal. And we've had a lot of support today. I've had a lot of phone calls from various agencies and so on, people that want to give us some help. And I just got off the phone with 2 phone calls from 2 people who own land in this vicinity from Florida. And so people are concerned about it. And also I've been told that because of the new law that was passed last year, that this is sort of a trial situation, and that if they can get it through this time, that's going to open up the doors for other buildings of this kind, or other ag farms like this. And people say it's very important that we don't let this get pushed through.
Mayor Babcock, again, happy birthday, and thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, and keep us abreast as this thing continues to move forward. Okay?
Thank you. And may I hang up now?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all for the wonderful coverage. I had nothing to do with asking any the TV stations and radio people to come, but they've done very well with their coverage, and I think for the most part almost 100% accurate. So I
Great.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. We do our best. With us now, NDSU Extension Swine Specialist, Mr. David Newman. Let's start with her top concerns of the people in Buffalo. She says, number one is the smell. How pervasive is the smell of a hog farm, and how far does that go out?
So it's no secret that pig manure has a smell. It does have an odor. So there's an odor associated with swine production in general, as well as all livestock species for that matter, and even humans. So there have been numerous studies done by universities, government agencies throughout the United States to look at setback distances between the general community, the local neighbors, and the production site itself. So as we make these decisions, as we look at building sites, for example, when I say we, I'm speaking a producer, someone we may be working with who's looking at that type of decision-making process. They're going to work with the state, animal health or public health department in this case, and those setbacks were determined using research that talked about smell.
She's saying that it looks like this hog farm is going to be within a mile of a home. One, is that accurate? Two, if you were living in Buffalo, North Dakota, would you be okay with a 9,000 hog farm a mile from your house?
First, I can't speak to the neighbors and the actual location. I couldn't tell you that, but I could tell you that yes, I would be just fine with it. And I could go back and say that I was also been around livestock production my entire life. I've been around the swine industry similar to this my entire life as well. So I do know that many of these setbacks and the distance between the barns, odor is not going to be as huge of an issue as what many people think. But it is an emotional debate oftentimes, and there are great questions that were asked. And last night there were wonderful questions asked in the city of Buffalo pertaining to the system.
A couple of things I want to get you with you quickly. We got about 2 minutes left here. One is Jerry Marks talked about, hey, look, my wife's already got some health issues. He's concerned about obviously air quality, water quality. What do you do to ensure him there's not going to be any issues, or could there be some issues?
So that's a wonderful question, and what I would say to that is we go to tremendous lengths in terms of research and production specifics that manage the specifics around production. So if I talk about odor, for example, there are lots of things we do to measure methane, for example. There are measures that we look at to measure the quantity of certain types of gas, the odor, the smell. So I really don't see, a human health issue for sure is not an issue. You got to remember there are people working in these barns every day, a large staff of people, and these jobs are very healthy. They're not a human health risk.
Last thing she's mentioned, also a big problem for the people of Buffalo as of right now, is they think, hey, we bring in a hog farm, it's going to devalue my land, my home. Is that a reality?
Here's the way that I would tell you this. I do not believe that that's true based on what we know from looking at other sites. So it's not the first time I've been involved with a process like this to understand the metrics, but it's my job to present facts. And here's the fact is someone is coming into a community willing to spend $20 million in infrastructure, hire 17 to 20 full-time people. That's going to have a positive economic impact on the area. Those people are going to need places to live, they're going to shop, and there's going to be a tremendous amount of other business associated with it, such as feed and transportation.
So what I'm hearing you say is, hey, there's actually an economic positive impact, but I want to share this with you. Last night, NDSU economist Randy Kuhn, he said he's been doing this now for 40 years. He said when people talk about economic impact, and he said, and I quote, they're blowing sunshine at you. I got 30 seconds. Your comments on what Mr. Kuhn had to say.
Well, I'm not an economist, but I can tell you that I would disagree with those numbers or those statements based on the fact that I think it's been proven that economic development in small communities that has a long-term growth potential does have that type of value. It has a long-term economic impact, and that's not only for the local community, that's for the region and for the state as well. Livestock development is very important, and agriculture is the backbone of North Dakota, and I am a firm believer in that. And I do think that it will have a positive impact on that community given the chance.
Thank you, David Newman.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. There's more that I want to get to, but we'll have to leave it there, so I appreciate it. Again, David Newman, NDSU Extension Swine Specialist. Much more on the story as it continues to progress, obviously. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to do a follow-up segment. Last Thursday, Ashley Bishop told you, hey, looks like some alleged cover-up of sexual harassment accusations in Hillsborough. Her story aired last night. We're going to share with you what happened after this story aired. As always, love to know your thoughts on what's happening with this hog farm in Buffalo, North Dakota. You can share your point of view by emailing us or text to us. We'll get to your points of view later in the show.